I got another question for Ray. And I like to ask this of guys who, now you've been in the league a couple of years as a manager. You were in the league a long time working for Nashville under David Poyle, so you got to learn a lot there. But still, when you're in the job, there's a different set of circumstances that come with that. What do you think is the most important thing you've learned about being a general manager in the league that you've kind of figured out as you've gone along here in Pittsburgh?
Well, I was assistant GM in Ottawa for 5 years. Worked with several managers there, Randy Sexton and Marshall Johnson and Pierre Gauthier, and then, of course, 8 years with David Poyle in Nashville. And what I learned along the way, which is the way I believe I operate, is the way David really had taught me, David Poyle taught me, is to really hire good people and let them do their job. And I was very fortunate when I came to Pittsburgh that I hired a really good assistant general manager who had experience in Chuck Fletcher, and now obviously the general manager in Minnesota. And we have really good people, and David was really good at asking questions, and and that's, he really challenged his staff, and he made us better, but he gave us a lot of responsibility. And I think as a manager, I think that's imperative to really give your guys, the job to do, and also let them do it and make decisions. And certainly the final one lies with you, but that's what I learned from David, and that's what I've implemented since I've been a manager this is my 4th year, I guess.
Is there one thing that you did pick up kind of on your own along the way once you're in that seat that maybe the first year or so you were thinking about, maybe you did things one way and then you said to yourself, this doesn't work for me this way, and you've gone away from something?
Not necessarily, because I think I pretty much had a setup in mind if I did get a general manager's job as to how I wanted to operate. And but there's so many things that, as all the managers I work for always told me, there's so many things that are on your plate as a manager, whether, everybody thinks, it's all about trades and free agents, but no, it's, you're dealing with your coaching staff, you're dealing with your media, you're dealing with your president, you're dealing with your owner, you're dealing with your trainers and injuries and player issues and agents, and there's so many different things. But I think the setup we had in Nashville is what I set up in Pittsburgh, and I was fortunate with Chuck. And when I first came in, I hired Chuck Fletcher as assistant GM, and the coaches we had in place in Wilkes-Barre that we put in and hired, Todd Richards was our head coach, Dan Bylsma was our assistant coach. I mean, looking back, how fortunate were we to have these two guys coaching our farm team? But we hired good people, they did great jobs, and the setup we had in Nashville is what I kind of did in Pittsburgh, and so I think it's worked out okay.
It's General Manager of the Pittsburgh Penguins, Ray Shero. Dan Bylsma is also here, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins. We're on NHL Live and also Penguins HD Radio Network. Can hear us as well during this interview. Tell us about the new arena. Everybody's talking about it. I was in Pittsburgh over the weekend. People excited about it. What can you tell us, and what can fans look forward to with the new arena?
Well, it's going to be state of the art, and it's, we're very fortunate, obviously, with our ownership, Mary Lemieux and Ron Burkle, having kept the team in Pittsburgh, got the arena, getting the arena built. It's going to obviously go a long way to keep this talent in Pittsburgh, but it's going to be open, I believe, somewhere July or August of the summertime. And, we've been really lucky that, Dan and myself, and we've been involved in some of the planning stages of the locker rooms and offices and things like that, video rooms. And I think it's going to be a great arena for our players. And Mellon Arena has been fantastic for us, and we're going to probably miss it, I think. And speaking for myself, Dan's got a pretty good record there, I think. So, but its time has come, for Mellon Arena, and fortunately for the city of Pittsburgh, it's going to be a first-class facility, and we're looking forward to it.
Dan, let's bring Dan back in for 1 second too. We talked to Ray about all the different injuries that the Penguins have had this year. How has that been on you? With Ray said it's nice from a bigger picture standpoint to get some of these young guys in and see how they play. You're probably familiar with them either from the minor leagues or from training camp, things like that. How has it been for you rotating all these different kind of faces, and it's particularly on defense?
Well, I think when you're in the moment and you're going game to game, it's difficult, with new guys coming in and the adjustments and what your team's going to look like. But from a bigger picture, as a coach, over 82 games, you need to have some adversity. You need to struggle. You need to figure out how to win games. You need to be tested and challenged as players, as matchups, as power plays, as different lines getting in different roles, different people playing in different situations. And I think it helps your team get tested under fire, get tested in the heat of some difficult situations. So fortunately we had good people come up and do good things. Our defensemen came up. They know exactly how we wanted to play because of the symmetry we have in Wilkes-Barre and the coaches and how we want to play. They did a great job. But I also think our team was really cruising along early in the year, winning games, but we weren't where we're going to be in March.
Yeah.
and we needed to be tested. And I think we were tested a little bit, and our guys had to play a little bit harder, had to figure it out a little bit better about how we want to play. And I think right now we're playing better as a result of having gone through some numerous injuries and some tough situations. And our last 5 or 6 games, our guys have played a better game than we were playing even when we were 9-1 at the beginning of the year.
I guess you get a little bit of a book on these guys now in case you have to put them in, because guys get hurt all the time. And we talked. I remember last week Marty School had a big game for you guys. Had a couple of, I think it was against Atlanta, had a couple of goals. And I was talking to someone. It's like guys always get hurt. You always have to bring guys in. So having seen these guys now at the NHL level, it gives you a little idea of what they can do if you need them.
Training camp's hard to get a read on guys, and I coached Ben Lovejoy and Derek England in Wilkes-Barre, and we've had numerous conversations about can they play, and yes, no, can they play many games, how many games can they play, but until they get tested, and they got tested pretty heavily in the games. They weren't just third and fourth line matchups in 12 minutes. They had to get tossed out against Kovalchuk and other teams, big players. They had to play 18, 20 minutes a game, and they played well. They defended well. They skated well. They gapped up well. And that's something you need to see from those players and to get tested. And it's going to help out Ray and our scouting staff and our coaching staff down the road with, hey, these guys can play at the NHL and they can play against, because they did it for 8, 9, 10 games and helped us win. So you need to have it as an organization. And I think it tests your team, and tests and trouble times can help you be better teams. And hopefully that's the case in our situation.
Guys, I know you got a game to prepare for. Thanks so much for coming by. Good luck tonight.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Appreciate it.
Dan Bylsma, the head coach of the Pittsburgh Penguins, and their general manager, Ray Shero. It's Don LeGrec and E.J. Raddick. We're taking you up until the top of the hour. Coming up next, Craig Button, all happening here on NHL Live.